Gustav Klimt is a good example of a man's personality being in conflict with the creative energy of art that tries to manifest itself in the person. He was pretty shy, he didn't like to talk much about himself, and was an introvert, especially near the end of his life. But his paintings seem like trying to prove the opposite. They feel relaxed, open and light, full of desire for life and love. Since Klimt was a rather private person, few could know his real character. Maybe he tried to hide this zest for life, his cheerfulness and openness, shying away from these manifestations of his character and considered himself to be, as he said, a completely uninteresting person. But perhaps his creativity lived its own separate life and manifested itself through him. Despite his shyness, he was a great hedonist and was very fond of women. Many researchers have emphasized this ambiguity of his character. The archetypes that are present in the collective unconscious of humanity are capable of manifesting themselves in the individual person, and in the case of Klimt, they may be in some sort of conflict with the individual, which leads to his suffering. When a person is an embodiment of some archetype, they also express art in the logic of its symbolism. The archetypical image that Gustav Klimt expresses is the satyr. According to Greek mythology, satyr lived in woods and represented the fertilizing power of nature, sexuality, and even lust. Satyrs accompanied Dionysus, the god of joy, pleasure, and alcohol. Klimt's Dionysian nature is easy to see in his paintings. No other artist has been able to convey the positive feelings of inner warmth, love, pleasure, and I would say pleasant laziness so strongly. He conveys all these feelings through the golden color and the relaxed nude figures of women basking in tenderness. Klimt wanted to convey his feelings for women through many little colorful details in his paintings. All these little multicolored bubbles and geometric shapes are the rapidly appearing and disappearing emotions, often abstract and difficult to express, as in the painting The Kiss, and sometimes they carry symbolism, as in Portrait of Adele Bloch-Bauer. The expressive look of the heroine is emphasized by the image of eyes on her dress, while behind her you can see the elements of Tree of Life, among many other patterns. Curious enough, many of these little patterns in Klimt's works look like bubbles, streams, and reflections on the surface of the river, and in general, the water theme is well looked through in his works. Emotions and sensations are shifting one into another, shimmering and mixing with each other like streams of water. Goldfish and water snakes either bathe in these streams or look like these streams themselves. In the Chinese philosophy of Taoism, it was a woman who was associated with water, darkness, and softness. The ultimate symbol of nature in a large number of cultures is the mentioned Tree of Life, of course accompanied by these cuddling figures. In the same way, the different peoples of the world see the tree as the axis, the foundation of the world, so for Klimt it is an embodiment of an unruly, vibrant creative force. After all, only life and nature are capable of giving birth to something new. The theme of embrace and love, as well as the passionate desire for life, he also tried to convey in his painting Life and Death. The people in the painting seem to escape death on the left side through embrace, love, and bright emotions. This painting was made near the end of his life, when Klimt was already suffering from depression. Death may also indicate this very depression and the artist's personality, while the figures on the right are his art, separated from the artist. Such a man's desire for a source of life and vivid colors is understandable, though the desire was more of a desperate one. In the early stages of his work, Klimt perfected his technique and tried to make his paintings as detailed as possible, with an abundance of different characters and beautiful landscapes. He was obviously inspired by the ancient Greek world. There is a certain symbolism in these works, but it looks like his style was in an undeveloped state back then. As time progressed, however, the artist recognized the need to express some deeper unconscious imagery and to bring in more personal and collective symbolism. This happens after his trip to Italy, where he was mesmerized by golden mosaics of St. Mark's Basilica. After that, Klimt finds his golden style. His paintings become more abstract and now try to express the main emotional message of the artist himself, rather than show the details. When the creator perceives the signals coming from the archetypical source, the expressed images may be even unclear and vague to the artist himself, but they are understood on a deep emotional level by each person. This is what makes Klimt's art great. A good example of this vagueness, the murkiness of things, is the painting Love. By the way, in this painting, Klimt makes it clear he is aware of the briefness of love and emotions. They pass quickly, and some are capable of causing pain. The woman's face, the most detailed part of the painting, seems to be the only real object, but she is surrounded by darkness. The contemptuous face of the man is like the face of a ghost, and the faces above seem to come from some bad, weird dreams. They express the skepticism and frustration of the author with a random and empty love affair. There is a welcoming image of a woman, a flash, hope, desire, and then desolation, indifference, awareness of the ugliness of such insincere relationships. But despite the rare dark paintings, in most of Gustav Klimt's works you can still feel the attempt of this man to portray his positive feelings toward women and the world, even if it was difficult for him to express them in his daily life because of his depression and character traits. His attempt to love life and his ability to express positive, warm feelings visually captivated millions of people. He also loved to paint natural landscapes with a pretty neutral emotional tone. For Klimt, such paintings were a way of being alone in nature, away from the hustle and bustle of the rapidly changing society of the early 20th century. Considering how many landscapes he painted, we could say that he was truly inspired by nature and life itself. Klimt was the embodiment of powerful archetypical forces related to nature, satyrs, and Dionysus. I suppose it was a conscious process, because the reference to the god is present in one of his paintings. Understanding archetypes and seeing their manifestations in art gives us an understanding of a person, their psychology, as well as the psychology of entire groups of people and even nations. And such great artists as Gustav Klimt allow us to recognize and understand these archetypes even better. If you like the video, hit the like button, leave a comment below, share this video, and of course subscribe to my channel for some new cool videos about archetypal psychology, myths, dreams, and all the interesting and mysterious stuff about the human mind and culture.